Good afternoon, folks. Mila Lazi here at High Button Sports. Currently at the SMU rink for the Surge versus Selects game here today. We just got started after our first playoff. And so far, we're in the Surge's zone, making our way through the neutral zone as they manage to chip that one back down in. First to get there, it's going to be Alicia as they fight for it along the boards. Surge trying to make her way through the neutral zone, past the red line, making their way into the Selects and make a shot, and just wide. Couldn't quite pick that up. Making their way back around to the boards. Girls fighting along here. Down in deep. Through the feet, trying to get a hold of this one. It's chipped along. Picked up by the Selects. She makes her way down. Got some heavy pressure here as Lexi tries to make her way through. Gets put up against. Can't get control of this puck as it gets chipped out of their way. And back down into the Selects rink we go. Trying to make this one. Passes it back. Picked up once again by Miss Cintre. As they fight for this one. Can't quite get a hold of this one as they try to set something up here, the Surge. Trying to set something up. Picked up and shot. It's blocked right in front. Picked up once again by Surge. By Gibbs as she tries to make something out of this. Picked up by Buffett, but lost. And now being fought again along the boards as they can't get a hold of this one. Girls are making their way through, trying to get a hold of this. It keeps getting out of their reach, can't quite get a hold of this. Surge is trying to get this out of their zone. Making their way through, cycle along. Surge was there to pick it up as they try to make their way out of their zone. Successfully does. Surge is trying to have some heavy pressure here, trying to get out of this one. As she loses control and picked up by the Selects as they try to set something up as the pressure is being applied. They lose quite control, but Surge has managed to pick it back up as it gets turned over and chipped down in. And it's shot, and it's just wide. Almost hits it there. These girls are fighting for this. Selects are trying to set something up, trying to get it to the net as Surge is applying pressure here. Some great defense. Puck is loose once again, but it's stuck along the boards as they can't quite seem to get a hold of this. And it's just turned over and in the air. Once again being fought for. No one can quite claim possession of this. Still being fought up against the boards. As Eisner gets that one back down on the ice and shot and just wide. Hits the boards. These girls are trying to make their way out of this zone. Trying to get it back into neutral zone ice, but they can't quite successfully do that as it's stuck behind the net. Still fighting for this puck. Selects manages to get something, trying to set something up and shot and is blocked. Still fighting for this. This is a foot race as they tumble, trying to get a hold of this between stuck in some feet down there in the Selects, in the Surge's, zone. Surge manages to get a hold of this, but is turned over quickly by the Selects as they try to manage this one through. Just keeps getting chipped back down and deep into the Surge's zone. They are fighting hard for this puck out here today. Surge gets a hold of this. Eisner making her way down through neutral zone into the Select zone, but couldn't quite get a hold of this one as it gets turned over quite quickly. This puck is loose. Foot race to see who will get there first. Shot and is missed just because it was hit by another player. Selects making their way through neutral zone ice as it gets chipped back down in to their zone after getting it out. They try to make their way around, going back into the neutral zone, making their way into Surge. They can't quite get a shot because the pressure is being applied here by defense. Trying to set something, a shot! And it's saved! Can't. Puck is loose once again. These girls are fighting for this in the Surge zone. As Surge gets a hold of this one. It's picked up. They're making way through into the neutral zone, getting it out of their own zone, but it gets chipped back down in by the Selects as Surge tries to get this one out, and does. Loose, picked up by Selects. Selects trying to make their way through. Trying to set something up here, but Pressure is being applied, and a shot is just wide. Couldn't quite make it into the net. And shot and stopped. Rebound opportunity right in front, but has managed to get out. Select's trying to get a hold of this one, as many shots have been made so far. Not even that far into the game, as they try to set something up. Once again, a shot and is saved by the Surge's goalie. Still trying to set something up here. Great first period. Super exciting right off the bat here, as it gets chipped up along the boards and stuck once again. Another shot and makes its way to the net, and that will be a whistle. Gonna see another playoff here now in the Surge zone. Surge is currently in first in the league, while Selects is second. They are both tied at 54 points. Because Surge won their last game. We're ready, and puck is down. Quickly picked up and lost. Couldn't quite get a hold of that one shot, but just couldn't make it. Still loose once again, down into the Surge zone. Selects is trying hard to get a hold of this one. Both teams want to fight for that first place title. Loose once again. Surge picks it up and falls in the doing so. Whistle is called. We're gonna have a penalty here for tripping. Gonna be our first power play here of the game. We're gonna have a new face-off down here in Select zone. Once again, another power play here down in the Select zone as we are ready to go. And puck is down. These girls fighting hard and lose control quite quick, but manage to regain it as they fight for it in the boards here. Loose once again as they try to cycle that back down. Gets turned over pretty quickly. No one can quite maintain control of this puck. Surge foot race once again, trying to get a hold of this one. Can't quite in the Select zone. Surge trying to set something up. Shot and is loose. Rebound right in front. Girls can't quite manage to get a hold of this one. Surge has it once again, trying to set something up along behind the net. Pressure is being applied here. Deep in the zone is stopped there by Select's field. Once again, Hoyle up against the boards, but Surge managed to get this one. Surge trying to set something up once again, trying to make a shot here. Can't quite. Select is applying pressure. Select manages to get it in their own zone and chips it down. Manages to get it right back into the Select zone. Surge zone, I'm so sorry, where they first came from. Once again, being fought for. As it just stuck up along the boards, no one can quite seem to get a hold of this one. As Selects manages to. Nevaeh Robertson with it. Loses and passes it off. As her teammate cuts that one. Surge making their way through. Eisner, once again, can't quite keep control of this. As Joseph gets it, passes it off, but McKenzie back down to Robertson, and it's stopped by their goalie. Once again, pass back down to Leckie. She makes her way up through neutral zone ice, making her way down into the Select zone. Fighting for this puck once again, as it is loose, back down into the Surge zone, and is picked up by Rosing. Picked up by the Surge, making their way back down, trying to get this one out of their zone, but Select just turns that over and loses control quite quick. As Surge manages to get it back down into neutral zone ice, trying to set something up here, trying to make a shot, and is blocked by the Selects as they try to chip that one down back. Surge trying to make this one back down, trying to set something up here as they can't quite. Still being loose, no one can quite get a hold of this one, but it's quickly picked up by Surge. Picked up once again by Surge, trying to set something up here. Pressure is being applied, and she cycles that one down. Selects are getting down there. Surge is having a switch off here, trying to get some fresh legs here on the ice. Picked up by Vint from the from the Selects. Back down to the Surge zone we go, as these girls can't quite get a hold of this puck, and shot! It is just wide! Could have been a goal there almost. Once again, stuck up along the boards as these girls try to fight for it down here. As it gets cycled along the Surge zone. Picked up once again by the Surge as they manage to get this one out. But it's stuck in neutral zone ice as no one can quite get a hold of this one. Picked up by Selects as they make a shot and goal! First goal of the game made by Selects. They're going to go back to the bench to celebrate this one. First goal of the game made by Hallie Rose McLean. As we're going to see a new face-off here, center ice. Celebrating that one. What a great goal. Super clean shot in there. Once again, we're back in center ice for a new face-off after Hallie Rose McLean got the first goal of the game with 11 minutes left to go in this first period. Back in neutral zone ice as Selects and Surge both try to get it back into the opposing team zone, and whistle is blown. So we're going to see a new face-off here. Got some great fans out here in the audience. Everyone is cheering. Going to see a new face-off here down in the select zone. And puck is dropped and we're off. Gets chipped back down to Select's boards. No one can quite seem to get a hold of this one. Once again, stuck up along the boards and just gets loose. Almost hitting the Selects gets a hold of this one as they try to set something up to get this out of their zone, but can't quite as it is stuck in neutral zone. And they fight along the boards trying to get this one out of their feet. Pretty intense fight down there. Everyone's trying to get their puck in. They're sticking to get that puck. It's picked up by Selects. Selects makes their way through and shot down into the Surge's zone and is picked up and stopped by Feltham as she makes it and gives it back to Surge's team. Stuck in neutral zone ice, but quickly gets chipped down into the Selects zone as they try to get this one back out and successfully do, but it's turned over quickly as they make their way through neutral zone ice, rushing for this puck. Back down into the Surge zone we go as they try to get this one out. As they successfully do. Selects trying to get this one. Foot race there to get it. First there would be number 7, Lexi, as they try to make this one back and down into neutral zone ice and gets chipped back by Noodle. Once again, back in select zone as they get this one out. Couldn't quite get that to the intended recipient and is once again lost out there as these girls try to shed something up. Rebound opportunity right in front and couldn't quite get that one in. Crowd is going a little wild here. Selects, makes their way through, trying to chip this one down in. Successfully do, cycles it along. First to get there. Surge gets a hold of this one. Trying to get this one through. Back down. A little fight here along the boards. Taking a tumble, trying to get this one. But it's picked up by Burris. Once again, making their way back through neutral zone ice. A little bit of ping pong going on here. And this gets cycled down, back down to the Surge zone. And trying to be passed off back out of this zone. And successfully does. Selects gets a hold of this one. As they chip it back down into neutral zone. Selects there alone. Trying to have a shot here and doesn't quite make it. Just wide. Can't quite. Once again loose. Foot race here to see who can get there first. Can't quite see because boards are in my way, but they are fighting for this one along the boards. Trying to get their sticks in there, trying to get a hold of this puck. As they can't quite seem to get it down in neutral zone ice. As they manage to get it out. It's picked up by Reese Vatour. Once again loose. Everyone is fighting for this puck. Picked up once again by MacArthur. As she loses this one, passes it off. And it gets sent back down in deep. Picked up by Tran as she makes this one try to get out of her zone, but can't quite as it gets shot back down into the Surge zone. Picked up once again and is stuck just outside of the neutral zone as Selects try to fight to keep this one in. Surge gets a hold of this and tries to chip this one down in, but pressure is being applied as they can't quite successfully do that. Picked up once again by Kim as she tries to get this one out. Cycles it along. Can't quite seem to get this one. It's chipped down. Picked up and loses control as Selects get a hold of this one. Robertson applying pressure there. Picked up once again by the Surge as they make their way through neutral zone ice. And it's just lost. Foot race once again to get here. Surge hits it down into the select zone and whistle is blown, and that will be a call for icing. Going to see a new face-off here now in a moment. Down in the Surge zone. 6:57 left to go in this first period. Select still hold 1-0. As we set up here, we get some music going. A little bit of discussion. And we're set up. And puck is down. Picked up by Selects right away by Selects MacArthur. As it is stuck once again. No one can quite seem to get a hold of this one. And shot and is blocked by Feltham. These girls make their way, keeping their eyes glued to this puck as Surge makes their way down, trying to get a shot on this net. Pressure is being applied as it is 1-4 down there. They can't quite seem to get a hold of this one. Takes a tumble in the doing so, trying to get a hold of this one. Lecky down on her knees trying to get this. Selects managed to get this one back out. Couldn't quite lose his control. Almost gets turned over as they fight for this puck. It gets cycled around and it's almost picked up by Grinton. And she couldn't quite get a hold of that one. Instead, MacArthur gets a hold of this. And she takes a tumble back in neutral zone ice. Surge trying to get this one back down and was blocked by Selects. Surge picks it up again by Eisner. Can't quite get this back down as it is stuck loose. And no one can quite seem to get a hold of this as it just keeps going back and forth between the teams. And it's picked up by Eisner once again. And the shot there, just wide. Can't see coming to pick it up. Surge comes and chips it back down in. It's picked up by Selects as they try to get this one out. Lose once again, foot race to get there. And it's picked up by the Selects as they make their way down. McKenty makes a shot and can't quite get a rebound opportunity right in front and can't quite seem to get this one in. Fight here along the boards as Surge manages to pick this one up and make her way down through the ice. But it gets turned over and lost. It's get picked up right back again by Surge's McCormick. They make their way through. They try to lose defense on Select as they can't quite seem to get a hold of this one. Select manages to turn that over back down into neutral zone ice as no one can quite seem to get a hold of this one to make a shot. 4:49 left in this first period here as they try to set something up here. Surge back down in their zone trying to get this one out as Select fights for this. Surge make their way around the net trying to set something up so they can get this back down, but just gets turned over by the Selects. Picked up by McLeod. So Surge, once again, fighting along the boards to get this puck out of here as Selects makes their way trying to get this one, and it's picked up by Hallie Rose McLean once again trying to make a second shot here of the game. The shot, and it's just caught, and whistle is blown. 4:15 left in this first period. Selects still stand at 1-0, and we're going to see another face-off here down in the Surge zone. Alright, we're set to go here. And we're off. As the puck gets loose once again, is picked up and lost and turned over as a shot there, just wide. Surge is first to get there, trying to chip this one and cycle it down to get it out of this zone. But Selects just picks it up and makes a shot and is blocked. Once again, puck is loose. Back in neutral zone ice. It is picked up by Alicia. Lost once again. Cycle it down, try to keep this one in the Select zone. Well, Surge has a change here, trying to get some fresh legs on the ice. And Selects gets turned over and make a shot and is blocked. Rebound opportunity right in front, but couldn't quite get a hold of that one. Selects makes their way. Great save there by Amy Field as she manages to keep that one out. Could have tied that right up to 1 for both teams, while Selects remains in the lead as they manage to keep the puck out of their zone. Some great defense going on here today. Surge manages to get this one back down in. Can't quite seem to keep it there though as they enter neutral zone ice. Gets chipped back down in. Selects trying to set something up here. Picked up by Martin as she tries to make this one escape their zone and enter the Surge. Once again, back down in the Surge zone as they try to get a hold of this puck. And his whistle is called. for interference. Gonna have another power play here. We're gonna have penalty here for Reese Vitor for once again interference. Gonna have 2 minutes of power play here with 2:48 left in this first period, which means once she gets out, she will have 48 seconds to play. Puck is down. Surge is trying to make their way out of this one. Power play here. Selects are at an advantage as they try to take advantage of this one. Trying to make a shot and is blocked. Couldn't quite get that one in as they managed to keep it in the Surge's zone, but try to set something up here. Trying to get another shot once again here. As they quite can't seem to do that. They just keep trying to set something up and it's blocked once again and whistle is blown. We're going to see another face-off here soon. 1:32 left on this power play for number 10. Once again, Reese Vitor from the Surge's team. Have another face-off down here in the Surge's zone. Puck is down and we are off. Fight here for the puck as they can't quite seem to keep on their feet for this one. Picked up by Selects as they try to set something up here once again. Surge is applying pressure here, keeping their eyes glued to that puck, trying to stop anything, but can't quite be picked up by Selects as they try to fight for this one. Once again picked up as they try to make something. Pass down to McKintree, and whistle is blown here. 1 minute, 4 seconds left of this power play as there will be a leg change here to get some fresh legs on the ice. Once again, another face-off down here in the Surge's zone as they get ready for puck drop. And it is down. They are fighting for this puck. Selects manages to get this once again, trying to set something up, trying to make another goal. Can't quite seem to see where she's going to put this. Trying to find a lane. And it is heavy traffic down there. They make a shot and is saved by the glove. Once again, we're going to see another face-off here. What a great save by Surge's goalie. Another face-off down here in Surge's zone. As puck is down, and these girls are trying to get a hold of this one. Once again, picked up by the Surges. They try to set something up here, and they just make it wide. You could hear it hit off the net down there. Rebound opportunity right in front, and Select score! Second goal of the game here today as they take the lead once again, putting the score to 2-0 for Selects. They go back to the bench to celebrate that one. We're going to see another face-off here back in neutral zone ice. Set up once again, and we're back in neutral zone. As Surge tries to get this one out, and successfully does so as they try to get it back down into the Select zone, but it's just held up there against the boards as they quite seem to get a hold of this one. Selects does, though, as they try to get something up. Received by Morrow as she tries to keep this one out of her zone. Can't quite seem to get a hold of this one. Robertson working hard to get this. Can't seem to get a hold of it, though, as it is struck up along the boards and is taken out by Eisner as she tries to get a goal and is saved by Amy Field. Puck is loose. Gonna see another face-off down here. Back in the Select zone. Line change here, trying to get some fresh legs on the ice so they can block their net and get it back down into the Surge zone. The puck is down. Selects make their way. Dorian trying to get this one out of her own zone as it's once again held up against the boards as they try to get this one out through their feet. Stuck a little bit along the boards and gets up behind them. Picked up and it's turned over as these girls fight for this puck as they try to make a shot, but is saved by Eisner as she makes her way through neutral zone ice trying to get this one out. Stuck up against the board once again and lost in neutral zone ice as they try to get this one out And it's chipped back down in. Eisner picks this one up, chips it over. Trying to set something up here, but pressure is being applied by the Selects as they make their way through neutral zone. Nice trying to get some set up here and gets lost. No one can quite seem to get a hold of this one. Picked up by Burns, and that will be the end of our first period. Thank you for tuning in here live at High Button Sports. I'm Mila. Behind the camera is Lucy. It's her birthday. We'll be back here again for second period action. Welcome back. You're live at High Button Sports for the second period action here at the Select versus Surge game. Select still hold the lead and with 2 points as we just got set up for a face-off here in neutral zone ice, and we make our way down to the Select zone almost immediately, and it's once again stuck up along the boards here. Turned over, but picked up once again by the Selects as they try to fight for this puck. Surge gets a hold of this. Trying to make a shot here, but couldn't quite as it gets turned over once again and makes its way through neutral zone ice, but couldn't quite make it there. And back down into the Select zone as there is a foot race here between Rosling and the Selects. Dorian has this one, couldn't quite keep it as it gets turned over and is loose right in front. Select trying to get this one back into neutral zone ice, and Surge chips it back down, but it's picked up by Select once again, making her way through as she gets it back down into the Surge zone. Dorian trying to pick this one up, but just can't quite as it gets out of her possession, and is being fought for once again, but a shot past the net, couldn't quite make it through that one, saved once again by Feltham. Selects pick it up, trying to shoot this one in. Loose once again along the Surge's boards. He's picked up by no one quite yet. It keeps getting out of everyone's hands and set back down in Select zone, and the whistle will be called for icing. Once again, we're going to see another face-off here down in the Surge's zone as they make their way over. .18:35 left in this period. We are set to go. And we are off. Picked up by Surge immediately as Votor makes her way through. Can't quite seem to get this one past neutral zone ice. It just keeps getting turned over and is loose. No one can seem to quite get this one, but it's picked up by Tran and it makes its way back down into Select zone. Once again loose, and is picked up by the Selects as they chip that one back down in. Fresh legs here coming on the ice from the Selects as they apply pressure pretty quick, trying to get a hold of this one. Can't quite seem to do that, but is picked up by Burris as she fights for this one. Chip back down into the Surge zone as they lose this one along the boards, but is picked up by the Surge. Picked up by Tran once again as she fights for this. Trying to make her way out of her own zone, but is turned over quickly in neutral zone ice as they fight along the boards. She's got to get this one out of their feet, but can't quite seem to do that. 6 girls here trying to get this one, and manages to get it back down into the Surge's zone. It's picked up by the Surge as they try to get this one back down in. Can't seem to quite do that as they try to set something up here behind the net, trying to get this one out. Picked up by Robertson as she tries to make this one down in. Successfully does get it through neutral zone ice into the Select zone as they chip this one back down in. Picked up by Selects, but is missed and is loose once again. Foot race here trying to get a hold of this one. Can't seem to quite get a hold of this as it just keeps getting loose once again and picked up by Surge as she makes her way down. And whistle is called here as we're going to see a new face-off here with 16:56 left to go in this period. Last period we got 2 goals from Selects. New face-off here in neutral zone ice right outside the Select zone. Puck is down. These girls are fighting hard for this one. Picked up by the Selects in their own zone as they try to chip this one down in. But Surge manages to get it back down. Foot race here trying to get a hold of this. Trying to prevent any shots from me happened or followed through. Slap shot there. Couldn't quite get that one in. Surge makes their way through as they try to get this one set up here. Slap shot once again, but a stop as Selects manages to get this one out. Selects. Chisholm trying to get this one back out of her zone, but couldn't quite as it gets back down into the Select zone. Fighting for the puck once again along the boards as no one can quite seem to get a guaranteed hold on this puck as Chisholm picks it up. Chisholm makes her way through neutral zone ice and passes it off, but it's turned over quickly to Surge as they try to make their way through. Surge trying to set something up here, trying to get it back out into the neutral zone ice, gets turned over quickly. Back to the Selects. It's picked up by MacArthur. chip back down into the Surge zone as Surge themselves pick it up, try to get this one out of their zone, and successfully does get it back down to Selects, and whistle is called for icing. Gonna see another face-off here down in the Surge's zone. Ellie felt him getting her eyes glued to this puck, ready for anything as it is close to her net. Once again, trapped in some feet there as no one can quite seem to pick it up and is loose. Picked up by the Surge as they pass that one off. Loose once again in the Select zone. Selects pick that up, chip it along and cycle it down. Try to get this one out, but it's turned over quickly and shot. It just makes it. Whistle is called. So close there. Great save by Amy Field as she goes to drink some water to reward herself for such a hard work. Once again, another face-off here after a line change, trying to get some fresh legs here. Back on the ice, back down in the Select zone. Field has her eyes glued to this puck as it is down, and Surge manages it to get something to try to set this up. Can't quite as it gets lost out of her control. Everyone fighting possession of this puck as it is loose and no one can quite seem to get it. Picked up by Selects as they take a tumble. Selects making their way down. Loses control in neutral zone ice. Picked up by their fellow teammates. Picked up once again by Martin as she passes that one off, trying to make her way back down to the Surge zone. Mackenzie making her way through, trying to set something up. Selects trying to get this one back down to the net. And stopped by Surge's goalie. Select trying to get a hold of this, trying to set something up here. Surge trying to make their way back down in as they can't quite seem to get something set up here. Picked up by Select once again, trying to get their way back out of their zone. Select trying to get something set up here as they can't seem to do that.
In comes Treya now, passes this one in, working it wide. Sangster cuts through, shot there, kept out wide. Gonna hold on to control of this puck out wide. Pressure against her. Gonna try to work her way into this. Shot there, and a glove save from Field. Good look there by the Surge, trying to get something on net. Create more opportunities for themselves. Shots right now 20-9 for the Selects, so looking for more offensive zone time and possession of this puck to try to get something through here on Field. Puck dropped and one off down and low. Select's going to try to clear their zone. Moving up ice now with speed. Chipped off in and through. Vitoire back there trying to get some defense on this puck. Played up through neutral zone ice now. Turned over. Sent down and low. Tran back for possession of this puck, and that one's going to be called for an icing. So back down to the Select zone. We will head for a new faceoff.
Back down in the Select zone we go. As Surge tries to set something up here. Can't quite gain control of this one as they fight for the possession close to the net. Field keeping her eyes glued to this puck. As Surge tries to set something up and shot. Couldn't quite make it. Loose once again right in front. Select making their way through. Back down neutral zone. As they trip that one down and deep and whistle is called. New face-off here today with 13-2 left in this period. Puck is ready and down as these girls try to set something up, trying to get this one back out of their zone. Selects makes their way down, back down into the Surge's zone. They can't quite seem to get that. It is stopped by Feltham. His whistle is blown, and we're going to see a new face-off here. Once again, a new face-off here. Sorry, folks, for this inconvenience. Puck is down, and they are fighting for this. Selects can't quite seem to get this one as Surge makes their way down through neutral zone, trying to get this one back down to Select zone. Loose right in front of the net, and can't quite seem to get this one in as Selects picks it up in their zone, trying to get this one out, but it's saved by the Surge, trying to get this in. And shot and goal! Scored by the Surge as they bring this 1-2 with 12:26 left in this period, and they're going to go back to celebrate this one and the benches. We're going to see a new face-off here at center ice. After that amazing and clean goal there. Couldn't quite see who made that shot. It was so clean. Back in neutral zone ice. Getting set up for a new face-off here. As they are down. And Surge is back in the game. Trying to score this one and tie it up. The Selects manage to get this one from going back down in. As they have some great defense out here today. Stuck by Feltman. As McKenzie picks that one up. Pass down to Robertson. Robertson stuck up against the boards, but loses control as it gets chipped away. Robertson takes control, trying to hit this one out, but gets loose and neutral zone ice, but gets hit down to the Selects. Stopped by Field. Selects trying to get a hold of this one. Can't quite seem to do that. Surge trying to get this one as they can't quite seem to set something up here. Picked up by Rosling as it gets turned over to Lex. MacArthur trying to get this one back down into Surge's zone. Takes a tumble trying to get this one in as she follows the puck behind. Robinson makes her way down, hands it off to Poirier. Selects get a hold of this one again as a turnover. And after it gets turned over once again, and shot in his rebound opportunity right in front. Couldn't quite get that. Shot once again, but it's stopped. Selects makes their way back down in. Trying to make their way back to neutral zone ice and manages to do that. As Selects trying to get this one back in. Selects get picked up. Gets turned over once again. Trying to get this one out of their own zone as they can't quite seem to do that, but are on their way of doing it. Selects back into the neutral zone as Robertson Buffet tries to get that one back down in as she skates, trying to set something up here. Puck is loose. No one can quite seem to get a hold of this one. Once again, chipped up back down. Still in the Select zone. A shot there, but couldn't quite get it in. Gets chipped off. Once again, puck is loose. No one can quite seem to get a hold of this. 10 minutes left in this second period here. Still, Surge 1, Selects 2. Shot there once again. Shot on goal is currently Surge is 12 and Selects is 21. Back down in Select zone as Surge tries to get something set up here. Slap shot and a stop there. Surge picks this up once again. Trying to set something up, but can't quite as it gets turned over quickly. Back in neutral zone ice. Surge picks this one up. Makes their way back down to Selects as it keeps getting bumped back into neutral zone ice. Can't quite seem to get a hold of this one. Selects picks this up. Makes their way through as they try to make a shot and is saved by Feltham. Gonna see a new face-off here now. What a great save here. Keeping this game at 1-2. New face-off here down in the Surge zone. We're ready, and puck is down. Once again, a fight here. Trying to get a hold of this puck as it gets cycled down. Picked up by the Surge as they try to get this one out of their zone. Little fight here, trying to get at this one. Along the boards, freed up now, picked up by Tanner as she takes the tumble trying to get this one out. Select also trying to make something out here and shot and just high. Couldn't quite seem to get that one in. Picked up by Surge as they almost lose control but didn't quite in neutral zone. Manages to get that back down into the Select zone. Select has us in their own zone trying to get this one back out as they successfully get into the neutral zone. Nice, making their way down. Chisholm trying to get that one back down and successfully does as it gets picked up by the Surge in the Surge zone. Surge once again trying to get this one back down out of their zone. It's picked up by Robertson as she tries to make her way down into neutral zone. Nice, but gets chipped back down into the Surge's zone. Once again, fighting for possession of this puck as these girls are trying hard to set something up here in neutral zone ice. Selects, gets a hold of this. Chisholm trying to get a hold of this puck, but pressure is being applied as she takes the tumble down trying to get this puck. Shot and a save there by Feltham. I'm going to see another face-off here. I'm going to see a penalty here for the Surge. Mackenzie Rosing. Going to see a power play now in Select's favor. Puck is down. And they have a power play in the Surge's zone. Looking good for them. What a great advantage as they get hold of this one. Trying to set something up here. Pressure is being applied by the Surge. Selects get possession of this one once again. Burris hits it off. Burris takes it, makes a shot, and doesn't quite make it in. Rebound, right, opportunity right in front! And whistle is blown! Let's see another face-off here now in the Select zone as Select's girls try to discuss what just happened. Puck is down, and Select try to take advantage of this power play with 1:33 left to go. They try to set something up here, make a shot, and it's just blocked by the Surge. Select try to set something up once again as they can't quite seem to do that. So much blockage and defense here. Stuck in some feet down at Surge. Select's got possession once again. MacArthur trying to pass this one down in. Trying to make a shot here. Trying to set something up. Can't quite seem to get this one in as they try to decide what lane they want to pass this one down in. Heavy traffic up in here. And the Surge zone. They make a shot and a save rebound right in front. But whistle is blown! Surge fans are happy about that, but Selects do not seem to care for that whistle blow. Once again, line change here, trying to get some fresh legs on the ice as we see a face-off down in the Surge zone. Waiting for some girls here to start this face-off. 54 seconds left in this power play. Number 25, Mackenzie, still sits in the penalty box, unable to help her team. Selects once again, trying to set something up here. As they make their way down into neutral zone ice, couldn't quite set something up as it gets back down into their zone. Field hits that one out as they make their way back down into the Surge's zone. And loses it, but couldn't quite. Gets turned over and shot, and it's just high. Shot on net there. It's almost hit. Gets turned over multiple times throughout the time in this zone. Can't quite seem to get something set up here. MacArthur trying to get something, see a lane possibly to send this one through. And shot is just wide. Couldn't quite get this one in. The girls fighting for it once again. Down in the Surge's zone as they try to set something up here. Once again, and shot, and just wide. Hits the boards behind them. Can't quite seem to get a third goal in this second period here. Loose once again right in front. In the neutral zone ice. Picked up by Surge as they make their way down with some heavy speed. Shot, and just hits the board. Just wide. Picked up by Selects once again through neutral zone ice as they make their way down. trying to make a sneaky shot here. Couldn't quite. Blocked. Loose again in the Surge's zone. Stuck up against the boards as these girls try to fight for possession of this one. Take a tumble trying to do so. And saved. Couldn't quite make that one in. Surge gets this one in their own zone, trying to get this one out as they make their way back down in. Selects in their own zone. Whistle is blown. We're going to see a new face-off here. As these girls make their way down through neutral zone ice. As the face-off here is determined where. Alright, in neutral zone ice. Right outside the Surge's zone. As they get set up here. Penalty has expired. We no longer have a power play. Face-off is being switched down in the Surge zone. No longer right outside of it in the neutral zone. Puck is down. These girls are off. Once again, loose along the boards. The Select picks it up. Loses it, gets turned over. No one can quite take good hold of this one. And whistle is blown, and we're going to see another face-off here. Once again, another penalty here. Instead, this is a power play for the Surge. Number 9, Richards from the Selects in the box. For 2 minutes. We're going to see a face-off here down in the Select zone. As they try to set this one up. Field, her eyes glued to this puck. As Surge tries to set something up here. Rosling passes that one down. She can't seem. Receives it once again, tries to make a shot, but misses it. Loses control. Select trying to get this one back down to neutral zone. Nice, make their way to the Surge. This enemy trying to make a shot and is saved. Saved by Feldham. Proud to shoot him for that one. That was a great save there. As it quickly came to her with no warning. Once again, another face-off here down in the Surge's zone as these girls get set up. 1:43 left in this power play. And we are off. Selects trying to make their eyes glued to this puck as Surge tries to get this one out of their own zone and successfully does so. As they try to set something up here. Couldn't quite. Passes the net behind it as these girls try to fight for possession of this one. Surge trying to set something up here. They quite can't seem to do that. Pardon me. Stuck up along the boards and loose right in front. Picked up by Surge as they try to set something up here. Loose once again. Fight for this puck here. Down along the boards and gets sent down into the Surge's zone. As Feltham stops it from a possible icing call. Surge makes their way down through neutral zone ice. Trying to make their way in as they try to set something up here in the Select zone. Select has their eyes glued to this puck, trying to keep this one out and away from the net. Can't quite seem to do that. Rosling passes that one off, trying to make a shot here. Can't quite seem to do that. Puck loose once again. No one can quite seem to get a hold of this one. 31 seconds until this power play is over. Almost at its expiry time as it gets sent back down into the Surge zone and picked up by Rosling. Rosling trying to shut this one back down into neutral zone as they make their way through. Picked up by Joseph. Picked up by Rosling once again as she tries to set something up here. But it's turned over quickly by Selects as they make their way through neutral zone ice, trying to make a shot here on the Surge, sorry. They couldn't quite make that in and get stopped and blocked. Selects once again trying to get something set up here, not losing their momentum of leading this game 2-1. Selects makes a shot and is saved. Rebound opportunity right in front. Can't quite seem to get that one out, but manages to. No whistle blown there. As Selects tries once again to set something up here. Surge gets turned over and takes that one out of the Selects possession as they regain it right outside the neutral zone. No one can quite seem to get a hold of this until Surge does, and they make their way through neutral zone, tripping that one down and deep. Picked up down and deep by the Selects as they try to make their way through neutral zone. Ice picked up by the Selects as they take a tumble, turned over to the Surge in their own zone. Once again, no one can quite seem to hold possession of this puck for long as it keeps losing control. Selects try to stop this one. Saved by Field. She keeps her eyes glued to this puck as Surge tries to set something up here. Once again, making a shot there. Moves right in front. Whistle is blown. A little bit of a fight here. Freed up now. Penalty has expired. 1:47 left here in this second period. Still 1-2 Selects. Shot on goals is currently 15-32. New face-off here down in Select zone. Ref trying to communicate here. Give them some fresh legs here on the ice for the Selects as they wait down there. Back down in the Select zone we are. Ready for this face-off. Puck is down. Immediately, these girls fight for it. Cycle along the board, trying to get a hold of this one. Picked up by the Surge as they ship that one back down to deep. Right along the neutral zone line there. Making their way back to the neutral zone. Trying to make their way over to the Surge as they are fighting hard for this puck. Almost loses control and does have to get cycled along the boards down the Surge's zone. And fought up against the boards once again. No one can quite seem to get a hold of this. Selects, chips that one back down in. Once again, fought up against the board here in neutral zone ice. Right on the red line as 5 girls here work hard trying to get their stick to this puck. 6 now. Everyone's watching. Pressure is on. Can they get this one out of their feet as it is stuck there? No one can quite seem to get a hold of this one as they do. Picked up by Selects. Richards making her way down. Richards losing control, gets called back and be switched off. Puck is loose once again in the Select zone as they try to fight for it. Picked up by Selects. MacArthur shot and is saved there. Picked up by Selects in their own zone as they try to make this one out. MacArthur trying to make a shot there. Can't quite. Picked up by Selects, turned over, make their way through the neutral zone ice. Trying to chip this one back down into the Select zone. Can't quite seem to get this one through, but manages to, as she tries to make a shot from zone to zone. Couldn't quite do that. She loses possession. Selects. Can't quite seem to get this one back down to the other zone. Stuck down in the Select zone as whistle and buzzer, is blown. Thank you for tuning in here live on High Button Sports. Make sure to stay tuned for some third period action. Welcome back here live at Highbutton Sports for the Surge versus Selects game here today. Currently, Surge still has 1 goal, while Select is in the lead with 2. Let's see what this third period action brings for us today. Maybe we'll tie it up here and get some OT time. Getting ready here for our first face-off here of the third period. Shot and goals 15 to 34 Selects. What a high number. We are set, and we are off and ready to go. Immediately, Selects picks this one up, makes their way through the neutral zone. Nice, trying to get this one away from their zone, back down into Surge, trying to make a shot here. Saved. Couldn't quite get that one back in for a third shot. The Selects trying to make something set up here. Can't quite seem to get hold of this puck. Gets sent behind as they try to set something up, but can't quite seem to do that. As it gets sent up along the boards. And they make a shot and rebound opportunity right in front. Whistle is blown. Couldn't quite get that puck in the goal quite early in this game. Only 29 seconds in. We've already had a whistle. And to see a new face-off here in the Surge zone. A little bit of fresh legs here on the ice. Pretty much everyone's legs are fresh after that break. Thank you for staying tuned in here live at Highbutton Sports. As puck gets sent behind the net. As Selects try to set something up here. Can't quite. They make a shot and goal! Selects makes their third goal of the game here today. Once again, great shot here by Vint as they go back to the bench to celebrate that one. Once again, the game is now 1-3. Pressure on the Surge here to get this game tied up, possibly trying to win this one. As Selects now hold first place, taking that title back as they make their way back into the Surge zone right away, trying to get another shot here. Can't quite seem to get a hold of this. Picked up by Frances McDonald as she tries to make this way through, but gets turned over quickly to the Surge as they make their way down to the Select zone. As they try to make a shot here, but gets turned over, shot, and missed just wide. It didn't quite get in there. Select trying to get something set up here as they can't quite seem to get a hold of this. Gets loose out of their control, but gets sent back down to the Surge zone. As Felton keeps that one under her glove, and the whistle is blown, so we're going to see a new face-off here once again. Back into the Surge zone. 18:41 left in this third period. Already have a goal so far here today. Puck is down, and these girls are off. So they cycle that one back down in, making their way through neutral zone ice. Surge trying to get this one back into the net, and just misses as the puck flies away. Great save there by Amy Field. Once again, Selects trying to get this one out of their zone. Can't quite seem to do that as it gets chipped back down in. Selects trying to get a hold of this one, but just gets loose. It gets picked up, brought along the boards. Picked up once again by Richards as she tries to get that one back down in. Back into the Surge zone we are. Gets picked up by Noodle and saved there by Field. Once again, puck is loose. Selects managed to get this one through, making their way down in. Picked up, but couldn't quite receive properly, and whistle is blown here. Going to see a new face-off here. In neutral zone ice. 17:47 left here to go in this third and final period. Once again, neutral zone face-off here. Right outside the Surge zone. Felton has her eyes glued to this puck. Puck is loose once again. It makes its way into the Surge zone. Gets cycled down along the boards. Picked up by the Surge as they try to get this one out. Selects keeps that in. Shot, but is saved once again by Ellie. Puck is loose once again. No one can quite seem to get possession of this puck as it is loose in the Surge zone. Picked up into the neutral zone. Being fought down. Right back into the Select zone as they try to get this one out. But puck is loose. Gets picked up by Colony as she makes her way through. through neutral zone ice. Now Moreau has it. Loses control of that one as it gets sent down into the Surge's zone. Surge gets a hold of this, gets turned over quickly, and make a shot and is saved. Almost had a fourth shot there by Chisholm, but was saved by Feltham. We're going to see a new face-off here. 16:55 left to go in this third period. Shot on goals for the Selects are 41-17. What an insane number. Puck is dropped once again as these girls try to get a hold of this. Picked up by the Selects as they chip that one back down in deep. They can't quite seem to get a hold of this. Gets shot back down. Hits the board by Lexi. Surge gets a hold of this, trying to make their way through. Can't quite seem to keep possession of this as Robertson tries to make her way through. Robertson couldn't quite keep that one in her possession as it is loose once again down in the Select zone as they make their way through neutral zone ice, trying to get this one back down and chips back down into the Surge's zone. The Surge is there to receive it and hit it back out. Picked up by Eisner as she loses control and whistle is blown. Little confusion here in the crowd as they are unsure why the whistle was blown. And see another face-off here. Once again in the neutral zone, right outside the Selects. Puck is down and is picked up by the Surge as they try to make their way back down to Select zone after being in neutral zone ice. Can't quite seem to get it in, but they enter the Select zone regardless as that gets cycled along the boards but gets hit instead and is picked up and turned over to the Surge as they try to get this one. Can't quite seem to set something up here as they try to make a shot. Rebound opportunity right in front but gets sent away. Puck is loose once again as they try to claim possession of this one right outside the net. Field has her eyes glued to this puck as she tries to make sure this puck does not get into her net as they fight along for this one along the boards. Can't quite seem to get this one in possession as they try hard. Puck is just loose and stuck. Surge gets a hold of this, trying to set something up, but loses control as it gets passed down to neutral zone ice into the Surge's zone. Picked up once again by MacArthur as she cycles that one down in. Picked up by Selects as she tries to get this one to be set up, but it's chipped up down along the boards as they try to get this one out between their feet. Once again loose. Picked up by Selects. MacArthur as she tries to set something up here but gets turned over quickly to the Surge. Surge picks that one up and they try to make their way out of their zone into the neutral zone ice. Picked up and is sent back down. Remains in neutral zone ice until it's shot and is saved there by Feltham. Once again, puck is loose as they can't quite seem to get a hold of this one. Back down in Select zone they go as they try to make a shot here. And it's wide. Couldn't quite make that one in. Picked up by Surge once again. Cycled along the boards in the Select zone as Surge fights for this one. Wanting another goal. Hungry for this puck. Once again, being fought up against the boards and whistle is blown. We're going to see a new face-off here. .11 left in this third period here. We see a new face-off here down in the Select zone. Amy Field ready for the puck to come her way. As she's prepared before even most of the girls are there for the face-off. Dedication is real. Puck is down and these girls try to get a hold of this as it gets chipped along the boards. Select's trying to get this one out, but it's picked up by Surge as no one can quite seem to get to this one. Shot! It is loose! No one saw where that one went. Once again, being sent back down into the Surge's zone, picked up by Feltham. As she stops that one, hands it off to the Surge. Surge trying to get this one out. This pressure is being applied a little bit. Rushing towards her. Gets picked up by Robertson as she tries to get this one to set this up. Loses control is Eisner as she tries to set this one up for play here. Can't quite seem to do that. Puck is loose once again and passes the net right in front. Doesn't quite make it in. Selects managed to get this one through neutral zone ice. Back down into Surge zone. Rosling will be the one to pick that up. Rosling makes her way through. Alone there on the ice almost in her own zone as she loses control, but it's picked up by the Surge in the select zone as they try to set something up here. Can't quite seem to do that. Eisner picks on one, chips it over to Rosling. Picked up and loose by Robertson. Couldn't quite seem to get that one as she picks it up once again. Rosling trying to make this one loose and hands it back over to her teammates. Picked up by Rosling. Robertson trying to get this one back in. Can't quite seem to do that. Selects fighting hard on defense, trying to get this one out of their zone, and is saved there by Feltham. Picked up by Rosling once again. Eisner making her way through. Picked up by the Surge as she makes her way down back into the select zone. Selects trying to get a hold of this puck. They haven't had a turn with it in a while as it gets held up against the boards, and they can't quite seem to get a hold of this one. So they chip it back down into the Surge zone. No call for icing there. 12:16 left in this third period. Still standing at 1-3 Selects. Back in neutral zone here as they make their way down. Surge trying to set up something here. Can't quite seem to do that. As she takes a tumble, neutral zone, but it gets chipped back down into the select zone, picked up by the Selects as they try to make their way through. Richards trying to get this one out. Richards can't seem to get this one out, but manages to. Trying to set something up here. She is alone without help down there. Her team trying to set something up here. As they make a shot, and it's just wide. Couldn't quite get that one in the net. Picked up once again by MacArthur. MacArthur fighting for this puck down there. Whistle is blown. We're going to see a new face-off here. 11:31 left to go. I have a penalty here for the Surge. Number 21, Alicia Ndukli. Pardon me if I mispronounced that. And she's going to be sitting in that penalty box for 2 minutes. We have a face-off here down in the Surge's zone, and puck is down. Feltham keeping her eyes glued to this puck, making sure it doesn't get in her net. As the puck gets set back down into the select zone and is picked up by Lexi as she tries to set something up here. Pressure is being applied. Passes it right over to Hallie Rose McLean as Hallie makes her way through. Trying to make a shot and doesn't quite. Loose right in front. Rebound opportunity, but no one can quite seem to get this one. Picked up by Chisholm as she tries to set something up here. Sent over. Hallie gets it once again. Makes a shot. Couldn't quite make that one. Loose in front. Surge picks that up, saving their team once again as it gets chipped back down into the select zone. Almost got a shot there on the Selects, but is saved by Surge. Once again, Selects makes their way through. Lexi trying to set something up here, trying to make a shot, but pressure is being applied. Defense is heavy down there. McLean gets this one, makes a shot! Score! Hallie Rose McLean's second goal of the game here today. Putting the score 1-4 Selects as they go back to the bench to celebrate this one. What a great goal there. Super clean. Great slap shot. We're going to head back here to center ice to see another face-off of the game. Get some fresh legs here on the ice. McLean gets some pats on the back there on the bench. Probably feeling good about that shot. Surge's going to have to work hard if they want to tie this game back up. 10 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in this third period, but whistle is blown. Going to see a penalty here for Subway Selects, number 2, Bria Tanner. Once again, another power play for the Surge. This could be good for them. We're going to see 2 minutes here. Pardon me, there is no power play because there is still a penalty for the Surge team. 50 seconds left to go, but I am not seeing anyone in that box. Puck is down. Surge tries to set something up here in the select zone. Eisner picks that one up. Rosling tries to chip this one down in. Can't quite seem to do that. Passes it off, but loses control and gets turned over behind the net. Puck is loose and gets set back down into the Surge's zone. Rosling first to get there. Pressure is being applied as she has to take someone down to get this puck. Makes her way through her own zone, making her way over to neutral zone ice as pressure is being applied from the Selects. Eisner gets a hold of this one. Tries to set something up here, trying to make a shot, but too many people in the way, can't quite seem to find a lane to do that. She takes a tumble down in deep. Selects get a hold of this one as they make their way back down. Grinton trying to make a shot here, but loses control of that one. And the Surge zone picked up once again by Richards. Puck is loose once again here. 9 minutes, 17 seconds left to go. Will Surge get a hold of this? It's picked up by Robertson as she makes her way down. And she just makes a shot and is saved! Saved by Amy Field with a glove save. What an amazing save there. Gonna see a new face-off here now. Getting some fresh legs back here on the ice for the rest of this third period. 9 minutes and 7 seconds left to go. Selects still hold first place here with 4-1. Surge trying to get this one back out of their zone through neutral zone ice as Selects manages to chip that down from Burris. Picked up once again and almost had a glove save there, but Surge picks that one up in their own zone. It gets turned over quickly and shot back down into the Surge zone. Surge makes their way through neutral zone ice as they try to make a shot here. They can't quite seem to do that. There's too many players here. Shot, rebound opportunity right in front. Can't seem to get that one back in. Rosling trying to get this one in. Puck is loose once again. Picked up by Tran as she tries to hit this one back down. And that penalty has expired, so we no longer have a power play here. Puck makes his way back down into the Surge zone. As once again, we have no more power play. So all girls are on the ice here now. Selects gets a hold of this one. They try to get this one back down in deep as it gets chipped back in. No one can quite seem to get possession of this puck as they all want it. Picked up once again by Selects. Selects Lexi trying to get this one back in. Can't quite seem to get that as Surge gets a hold of this. Lexi gets this one. Chips it back down into neutral zone ice. Chisholm makes her way back through to the Surge's zone. Takes a tumble trying to save this puck. Once again stuck up along the boards trying to get a hold of this puck. Can't quite seem to get it through the feet. Picked up by Surge as they try to chip this one back down over through neutral zone ice. No one can quite seem to get a hold of this as it makes its way down. Picked up by the Selects in their own zone. So they take a tumble. Whistle is blown here. We're going to see a new face-off here. 7 minutes, 15 seconds left to go. Penalty here for the Surge. Number 27, Gabrielle London. She's going to be sitting in there for 2 minutes of game time. Power play once again for Subway Selects here. Once again in their favor. They are back down in the Surge's zone with a power play. A little bit of discussion here between Subway Selects and the refs. Girls are down back in the Surge zone, waiting for this discussion to be over. Ref here trying to explain what call they made and why. Selects are trying to rationalize this as the girls are just down in Surge zone waiting for the ref to be ready. Once again, 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 15 seconds left to go here in this third period. Select still have 4 points, while Surge still sits at 1. Gabrielle London still has 2 minutes left in this penalty box. Little extra time added here. And we are back. Little dispute here is over. As the puck is loose once again, but picked up by Surge down in their zone, trying to chip this one out gets hit up along the boards as these girls try to fight for this one. Can't quite seem to get a hold of it. Picked up once again by Burris as she tries to make her way through. Layla Burris trying to make this one through. Can't quite seem to set something up here as pressure is being applied. Selects once again trying to set something up here. Can't quite seem to do that. McLean trying to get a third shot here. Once again, puck is loose and losing their stick is not ideal for them in this third period with 6:31 left to go here. Picked up by Selects as they try to set something up here in the Surge zone. Pressure is being applied. So many people in the way and shot and just wide. Couldn't quite make that one in. Lexi trying to fight for this puck here. Can't quite seem to do that as it keeps getting lost of control. Picked up by Lexi once again as she tries to set something up here. And shot and just wide. Couldn't quite make that one in. Once again picked up by Selects. Lexi making her way through neutral zone ice. Picked up by McLean as she makes her way through. Trying to set something up here. Pressure is being applied. Heavy defense is pretty heavy here and is blocked as she tries to make a shot there. Puck is sent back down into the select zone and is stopped there by Amy Field. Picked up by Tanner. Tanner hits that one back down in. Reclaims possession is Lexi. Selects makes her way through neutral zone ice. Can't quite seem to get a hold of this. Guaranteed. It makes a shot and just wide. Hit off. Once again, the puck is regained and Selects possession as they try to set something up here in the Surge zone. Can't quite seem to do that as the puck gets loose once again and that penalty has expired. We no longer have a power play. Puck is back down into the Surge zone in Surge's possession as they try to make their way through neutral zone ice to get this one back into the select zone, trying to get another shot here. Being fought for once again, but is picked up by Burris as she makes a shot and is saved by the glove from Amy Field. We're going to see another face-off here with 4 minutes, 47 seconds left to go here. No penalties at the moment. So we do have 5-on-5 play here. Face-off down in the select zone, right in front of Field. Her eyes will be glued to this puck, make sure nothing gets in her net. So far, she has blocked out numerous pucks this game. 48 shots have been attempted on that net. Selects makes their way down. Tanner tries to get this one. Tanner chips it along and cycles it down. Picked up by McLean, as no one is there to pick that one up, but it gets turned over to the Surge as they make their way down. Surge, Lecky trying to get this one back into the net, as she can't quite seem to do that. Puck is loose behind them. No one has seemed to notice yet. They're trying to make a shot, but it's stopped and chipped out. Surge tries to get this one picked up by Gibbs, as she hands that one back down into the neutral zone and picked up by Surge in the select zone. Select's trying to get a hold of this one. Picked up by Burris as she tries to get this one back out. Tanner making her way through, trying to get this one back out of this zone, but is turned over to the Surge, and Surge tries to get this one. Picked up once again by Burris as she makes her way through, hits the ref there. Once again, Surge gets possession in their own zone as Kim gets a hold of this. Passes her, gets sent back down into the Surge zone. 3 minutes, 30 seconds left to go in this third and final period. Score still 1-4 Selects. Surge is trying to get another goal here before time runs out. As Eisner makes her way through, loses control, makes a shot and couldn't quite get that one. Puck still loose down in the select zone behind the net. As no one can quite seem to get a hold of this one to make a good enough shot to get it in that net. Many people there, lots of heavy traffic down there as they try to get this one set up. Selects still trying to get this one, but Robertson turns that one around, trying to keep this one back in the select zone as she tries to set something up here, makes a shot and doesn't quite make it in. Once again, puck is loose. No one can quite seem to get possession of this. Guaranteed permanently. Pick up by Selects Chisholm, and whistle is blown. Gonna see a penalty here for Evelyn McLeod. Number 8 on the Selects for 2 minutes. That's in the Surge's favor, as they need this power play to ensure another goal here in the 2 minutes and 42 seconds they have left of this game. Going to see another face-off here in the Select zone as they set up for this one. Puck is down, and these girls immediately fight for it. Time is of the essence. Selects picks this one up. Couldn't quite. Selects fight for this one in their own zone. Surge gets a hold of this. Surge trying to get something set up here. Can't quite. She makes a shot, and it's just wide. Hits the boards behind them. Once again, puck is loose. These girls fight for the puck possession, and it's stuck in some feet there as they try to get that back down along the boards in the Select zone, as everyone has their eyes glued to this puck, and whistle is blown. So we're going to see a new face-off here. 2 minutes, 21 seconds left to go here, and the timer is just continuously going. Going to see a new face-off here. They forgot to start the timer there last time, so they're just letting it go a little bit here now. But now we are back on schedule, back where we need to be, back down in the Select zone as these girls trying to get this one back into the net. Puck is loose once again. Getting a little bit of tripping there, wasn't called. Picked up by Sangster as she tries to get this one back down to the net. Sangster gets a hold of this one, couldn't quite keep possession of this for long as it gets shot and just wide, hits the net. Rebound right in front, and Surge goal! Surge gets their second goal of the game here today with 1:42 left of this third period as they go back to the bench to celebrate this one. What an amazing and sneaky goal there. Shot was made by Alina Gold. She was probably feeling good about that one. Maybe they can get 2 goals here in the next minute, 42 seconds to try to tie this game up. Once again, back in neutral zone ice for probably one of their last face-offs here today, as they make their way back down into the Surge zone. Surge picks that one up, trying to kick this one back down in. Trying to chip this out, but can't quite seem to do that. Robertson takes a fall, trying to get possession of this puck, and Surge gets turned over as they make their way through neutral zone ice, trying to get back down into the Select zone. Trying to get a third shot here. Can't quite seem to do that. Once again, puck is loose in front. And loose once again. Can't quite seem to get possession, but is turned over quickly to the Selects as they make their way down in. Trying to get something out of this. Trying to make another shot is MacArthur as she has control of this puck. Trying to make its way to the net. Trying to make a shot, but it gets turned over quickly to the Surge. Can't quite make a shot there. Back through neutral zone ice. 52 seconds left to go in this third period. Makes a shot there, but couldn't quite make it in. Once again, puck is being fought for down in Select zone along the board. No one can quite keep to get possession of this as it gets lost as they try to get this one. Once again, puck is in the Select's possession in the Select zone. 33 seconds left to go in this third and final period. Turned over to Surge as they try to set something up here. Rosling hits that one back down in, and whistle is blown at 24 seconds left of this game. So we're going to see a new face-off here once again. New face-off once again in the neutral zone right outside Selects. A puck is down. 22 seconds left to go in this period as it gets hit down into the Selects. Picked up as they try to make their way out of their own zone. Kintz manages to do that. McLean trying to get this one. Another shot there. 8 seconds left to go. A shot with 5 seconds left to go in this third and final period from the Selects, putting this game up 2-5. What an amazing final goal there today, as we will see one more face-off coming our way. With 4 seconds left to play in this third and final period. Once again, puck is down. We have 2 seconds left to go here as it makes its way over to the select zone and gets chipped out. Selects have won this game here today. What an amazing game here today. They had such powerful girls out here today on the ice. Such hard work. Thank you for tuning in live here on High Button Sports. Thank you for joining us, and good afternoon.